Hello, here we have an American Flyer 661 plastic passenger car. It looks like it's had a few rough trips around the Christmas tree village and possibly even some rougher trips around the neighborhood of the living room. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this apart and we're going to remove the number plates, and then we're going to strip this and refinish it. And actually I'm going to make it into one of my holy grail cars, a 500 series. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the screws that are holding the body onto the chassis here. And we'll put the chassis away. We won't be doing anything with that for right now. And take out the diffuser. It looks like somebody already removed all the glass, all the window glass inside there. So what we're going to do now is take off these number plates here. And it's going to use a small punch and a small hammer to drive these out. As you can see, the rivets that hold these in are extremely tiny. So if you're going to reuse them, make sure you are careful not to have them drop on the floor. Or work with a piece of old cloth here so you can see them when they do pop out. And there's the first number plate taken out. We'll put those aside, save them for later, maybe for something else, don't know what, but we'll save those. And I will be ordering some 500 series number plates to resurrect this as a refinish car, as a 500 series car. Put the car in here, and my solvent of choice, and other people use as well, is a product called Purple Power Clean Strip. Plastic safe, and soak the car in this maybe a couple hours, maybe overnight, depending upon how long it takes, and then afterwards wash it off. So we're just going to dump some of this in here and let the car soak overnight. We have some other over here also, in some other containers. And we'll tilt that in such a way so that we can get it submerged. I'll get a piece of block of wood or something here to hold that up. And we just let that soak overnight, and we'll come back and take a look at it after all the finish is off. And here is the strip shelf after sitting in Purple Power for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that. It's stripped all the old paint off. And it looks pretty good. I think we're going to get ready to put some primer on there in a couple of seconds. Okay, now we're going to be spraying some primer on. Just happen to be using some Rust-Oleum flat gray primer. And the important thing is to light passes, not one heavy coat, but light coats, and you take gentle swipes across as we spray, like we're doing right here. priming when the car is all finished. Looks pretty good there. We're going to top coat this for the finish coat with Tester's Silver Metallic spray paint. And once again, just light, even coats. Don't have to cover everything all in one pass, but light, even coats. And I think we've got it pretty well covered. We'll let that cure for about 3 or 4 days, and then we'll come back and put the dry transfer lettering on here and the metal plates there with the numbers on it. Well, we've now gotten to the point of our project here where we're going to be applying dry transfer lettering like we have here, the word Pullman. One of the things with dry transfer lettering is positioning it where you want it on the object that you're putting the transfer on. What I've done here is I've measured off from here to here to make sure that the lettering is centered on the car body. Also, one thing you want to do with dry transfer is take a small piece of blue painter's tape. And the purpose of this is to hold down one end of the dry transfer. Because when you rub the dry transfer, as I'll show you, sometimes it doesn't fully transfer and you peel it back and you have to go back and put it in the same location. So by putting down this piece of blue painter's tape, you'll be able to fold it back, and then if you have to do it over again, you'll be able to put it back in the same position. So what we're going to do right now is hold it down, and we're going to begin to burnish it using actually it's an old piece of wooden dowel that I've made a rounded, like blended out pencil point on. And what we're going to do is just go back and forth quickly, back until it changes a slight color, and then move on to the next letter, and go back and forth again until we get all of the letters done. It's done. Okay, and we've got all of the burnishing done. Now we're going to peel back the wax paper, and as you can see, we've got the lettering on there perfectly. Exactly what we wanted to do. Now the next step, after we get the blue painter's tape off, is to do the other side, and then once we get all the lettering on, the final step is to give it a light dusting of clear coat finish to protect the dry transfer lettering, as it is very fragile when it's unprotected. So we'll take a brief break here, and I'll come out and do the other side, and then we'll dust it. Okay, the lettering is all completed. Now it's time we're going to use some Krylon flat crystal clear. My preference is flat. Some people like to use satin, but my preference is flat. I'm just going to give it a light dusting just to seal in the lettering. And we'll do the other side. To the top so we have a consistent flat coating across all the paint. We'll do the ends of the cars as well. And once again, it's just a light dusting, more just to seal in the fragility of the dry transfer lettering. After that, the next step would be to apply the number plates, do some work on the chassis, and the project will be completed. Well, we're moving along progressively with our restoration of this car here. As you can see, we've got one of the new number plates placed in the side of the car, and also you can barely see, but there's new window material inside the car. Probably can see it a little better on the inside there. What we're going to do now is we're going to place the number plate on the other side of the car. One problem I found in doing this is sometimes the reproduction number plates don't necessarily match up with the holes on the car. So what I did was I used a pin vise and a slightly larger drill bit to enlarge the holes on the number plates and also the holes on the car itself in order to get them to match up. This causes a slight problem though. Now the little tiny rivets that we have down here don't fit real tight any longer. So what we do to correct that problem is after placing the rivets, hold them down with some glue painter's tape and then use just a couple of drops of some super glue type of cement to hold it in place. And then you have to let that cure for maybe 1 to 2 hours to make sure it cures up finally nice and hard. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a little bamboo stick I have here with some sticky glue on it to pick up these little tiny rivets because they're way too tiny to use with your fingers, and put that on the end of the sticky, just like that, and then we're going to place that in the hole for the number plate. There's one in place, and we're just going to put a piece of glue painter's tape down there to hold that in place so it doesn't go anywhere. And then we're going to place the other rivet on here. Looks like it's a little, maybe not exactly lined up there. There we go. That's lined up now. And we'll put another piece of blue painter tape on top of that, just to hold it in place there. And we'll flip the car over and just put a couple of drops of super glue type of adhesive on there, on top of where the rivets are. And you can just use that bamboo stick there to kind of spread the adhesive around, make sure it gets into the hole. And then we'll just let that harden up. And then when we come back, we'll go in and we'll insert the glass windows in there. And I think at that point, I think the car will probably be all done and be ready to be reassembled. And now we're getting to almost the very end here. We're going to be putting in the plastic window glass in here. We're going to use a small brush with some tacky type cement, which you can easily get at Michael's or Joann, any one of those craft type stores, Hobby Lobby. And just a little bit of this, just a real light coating of that where the glass is going to go. You don't want to get too much on there because if it smears up there, it'll get into the part of the glass that you'll see from the outside of the car, and you don't want that. So he's going to put a little tiny coating of that on there. Just there like that. And a little on the sides. And then we're just going to carefully lift this piece in here. Get it up into the notch where it fits right on in. Drop it in place. And behind those two round bosses there. and push the glass up. Okay. And we're going to do the same with this last piece here. Just a little bit of the glue there. We're going to lift that piece up there again, just like the other one. And put that in there, just like that. And bend it just ever so that it fits in there and snaps into place. And slide that in, just like that. And there we are. It's all done. We'll just wait for the glue to dry, and then we'll go back and assemble the car, put the chassis on, and it'll be ready to roll. Well, we're finally at the end of our project. Number plates are on, window glass is in on both sides. Now it's time to reassemble the car. Use this little cradle I have here to put it inside there to work on. And we'll put the diffuser back in, which if you ever have to replace the diffuser, you can also use parchment paper available from the grocery store and put that in. Also a good idea to check out, make sure the light bulb works before reassembling. And we just place the chassis back in here. And then we'll replace the 6 screws. And there we had the finished product, all reassembled and ready for the layout. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I know it's been rather lengthy, but it does go into all the details that are involved in refinishing and restoring. Almost forgot, for those of you that are TCA members, there is a tag you're supposed to place on top or someplace inconspicuous on the equipment showing that it is altered tin plate, whether with parts or paint.